All right, we're on week 7 of our class. Hope you're working with your partner on your technology grant. And I don't want you to get too stressed out about this. Grants for the state and the federal government are very involved and will take months to write and take a huge amount of data and research. You're not writing a grant like that. You're writing a grant for your classroom. So I want you to, you're going to have data. You're going to be very clear about what you want for your classroom and why you want it and how you're going to use it and what you expect. But you're not gathering huge amounts of data and reporting that data and having somebody oversee the grant. That's a different kind of grant that you're writing it as a classroom teacher. Eventually, hopefully you'll get to write one of those really big grants, but you don't write those alone. You write those in a team. So don't get too stressed out about that grant. Write it with your partner. If you have any questions, you want me to look it over, I'm happy to do that for you during the week, so make sure you get that to me. Just email me and say, take a look at this for me. As you're working this week on the flipped classroom and what that looks like. And so I want to talk about some of the other things that are coming out in educational technology. Flipped classroom is one way that we can get kids interested in, engaged in having them learn things at home, which is what we want them to do, want them moving forward. But there are other things that we need to be considerate of as we're moving into the 21st century further and further. A lot of our kids have technology, but they don't have the technology we want them to have. Most of our kids have cell phones. Very few of them have desktops at home. They might have a tablet at home. If you're lucky, they have a Chromebook or some kind of laptop, but most of the kids across the United States have a mobile device, and so that's the platforms that we need to look at. Also on this, on the right-hand side of the screen, it talks about what kids are doing with technology in the classroom. And I would bet a lot of kids are playing games in the classroom without a lot of oversight of teachers. Because I see a lot of that. People will take out their Chromebooks and they'll let them go to math games or play games on the computer without really vetting that site and watching what they're doing. So it's nice to play games. I like playing games, but let's make sure that they're appropriate and we're really paying attention to what the kids are doing in class. As we talk about mobile technology, this is from Mashup. They talk about how young adults, and we're raising kids to be young adults, how they use that mobile technology outside of work. And so a lot of it is communication with their family and friends, which is why we want to communicate in a mobile way with our young parents. But also working outside of work. A lot of our young people are still working at home, just like we are, at home, but they're working from their phone. And we got to have ways that they can do that. So as a teacher, the thing that you have to think about for your kids are they able to work on a mobile platform? What kind of mobile platforms are we promoting? What kind of apps are we using that are usable for kids? And do they work on a mobile platform like a phone? And also that depth of knowledge, that depth of rigor. When we're asking kids to do things and they're on a phone, are we asking them to do something that's just like a fill in the blank, that's super easy, or is it something that's rigorous and going to make them really think? And also talking about that digital citizenship of, if we're going to spend a lot of time socializing with each other online, are we being good citizens of, treating each other nicely? Another thing that I want you to really start thinking about in educational technology is this movement from the Department of Educational Technology, which is Go Open. And it really is about designing your own textbooks so that they are interactive, they are a living document, that it develops teachers and actually gets kids involved in developing the resource also. Integrating technology resources on an ongoing basis so it can constantly be uploaded or changed, and as new, especially like in science. This is a great thing to do for science because as things change and we get new inventions, you can integrate those in very easily. Where if you have a static textbook, I remember having a textbook when I was a kid and it said, one day we'll go to the moon. I'm like, we did that already. and having a book that's out of date. So this is a great way to have teachers really involved in the designing of textbooks. It takes a lot of professional development and it takes a lot of leadership from teachers who have to be involved in it. So you have to have buy-in from your teachers. But great way to save money. Better to spend the money on teachers and the professional development in that work together, that deep work, than to spend it on books that may or may not go out of date soon. These are two big topics in educational technology: virtual reality and augmented reality. Okay, so the difference between the two is augmented reality, it takes something that's already there and kind of layers on top of it. So the image on the left-hand side of the screen is augmented reality. So it's kind of like a picture, and then you take your camera and or your cell phone, and it kind of pops to life. That's augmented reality. Virtual reality is really that artificial computer generated image that's kind of a 360 image. It can also be a real life image when taken with a 360 camera that's very immersive. So it might be a field trip or a trip to a museum that you would do with virtual reality, compared to augmented reality would be kind of something that would pop up. And we know the kids love this. We know that there's a lot of movement in the computer industry towards this, but not a lot of teachers know how to use it yet. So we've purchased virtual reality goggles, and we go out and we show teachers how to use them and how to do virtual field trips. My next step is getting teachers to create content for those glasses, either through the math class of designing cities, or through history, designing videos that would go with their history units. But we know kids are interested in it, and we know that this is a way that is very hot right now in technology. And if we can get kids interested in it, we can get them interested in the topic too. So something to think about as you're moving forward. Gaming and badging is a big, big focus. We know that kids like to earn things. How many of you use Class Dojo? And they like that little avatar, they like getting points and like earning those points. Actually, adults like this too. If you have a Fitbit and you know that you can earn points, you get this little badge for walking 10,000 steps or doing that 5 days in a row. It works on adults too. So you're going to see a lot more of this gamification and badging as things develop through education. And they're talking about, instead of earning degrees in the future, that you would get badges and certifications this way instead of the traditional way of degrees. I don't know how that's going to go, but the more you can incorporate this into your classroom, the better off, the more fun your kids are going to have. And with technology, it makes it a lot easier to keep the points. Class Dojo is a very easy way to give kids points. But if you find another way to do it through, earning points for reading, or doing what they need to do on their kindness team, or whatever you're doing, this is a great way to incorporate it in your classroom, and a lot of research behind it that builds kids' confidence. So as we move into the future, we know that there are very big tech giants that will take over kind of an ecosystem. We know that Apple has one, Amazon has one, Google has one, and they like to take over everything in your house. For example, Google has that, I think it's Alexa, that you can say, Alexa, order me this, and it can also dim your lights, and it can turn on your heater and do a lot of things for your house. It can play your music. It can save all your documents. It holds your photos. So you're really talking about an ecosystem, a tech ecosystem, which was never something that we were doing before. And sometimes when you're in that ecosystem, it's very hard to move ecosystems. I know I have Apple at home and I have Google at work. Two different ecosystems, but kind of like keeping them separate. We need to teach kids how to navigate that change between ecosystems, because most likely they will have to, and how to find out how to do something without somebody sitting next to you and teaching you. For example, I have an Apple Watch, and I had to change the bands on it as I was getting fancy, and I got a little Halloween band for my watch, and I didn't know how to switch the bands up. Oh my gosh, how this is crazy. Why am I struggling with this? Go to YouTube and figure it out. So I did that in 2 seconds. I thought, oh, I love YouTube. But teaching kids to do that automatically, instead of, how do I do this, and whining to somebody, that automatically the first thing they're going to do is look it up online to find out help. Just a graph over here to show you how many people in 2015, and this is old, have switched over to Chrome. I like Chrome a lot, but there are other platforms out there that people also use. But I'm just giving you an idea of how whole countries will move to something. This I found online, and I really, really liked it. He's a futurist. Russ Dawson. He talks about the future of work and how work is going to change in the next few years. And I really like this graphic of how things will change. And if I look right over here by education, kind of in the lower right-hand side, it talks about education being available, open, continuous, and peer learning. It's not about always going back and getting that degree, but it is about having certifications and making sure it's a continuous thing all the time, that you're always updating your skills. It's not something that you go to school once and then you're done. That would be nice, but it's not how it works anymore. It hasn't worked that way for a long time. Just thought this is a really interesting graphic for what work will look like in the future. So as we think about that, we think about, well, then what does school look like? I don't really know. Who knows if we'll even be coming to a certain localized place. As work comes more to the house and people are working individually at home and then going into work sometimes, maybe school will be like that too, that kids will be at home most of the time and coming in for certain situations. I don't know. People sometimes like getting their kids to school and having some time by themselves. So who knows what it will look like. But I do know that there will be more personalized learning. So learning will be personalized to the child because we can do that with technology. I think that there will be more blended learning opportunities because I think families want that. They want to be able to travel when they want to do. They want to have flexible learning times, so they don't want to have to come at 7:30 in the morning. They might want to stay till 6 p.m. at night. So I think there'll be more flexible times for schools, that it won't look exactly the same that we have it now. And learning simulations and online labs where kids can come together online and learn rather than being in a classroom together. So kind of breaking down the walls of a traditional school, but I'm not really sure how that's going to look. So be ready for change. Be ready to try something different because I think it's coming. We're going to have to compete with the charter schools that are out there doing different things and trying different things. And we need to, in public education, be also trying the same things. So have a great week. If you want me to read your grant, get that to me this week and I am happy to look it over for you. Have a great week.